Sheriff's Office.
Hi, ma'am. This is Scott Sunford. I was robbed last weekend. I live at 320 North St. Hilaire. Anyways, after the robbery, I had an ADT alarm system installed, and they put it on a 1-week trial period where if anything went off, nobody would respond. And today at 324, 327, and 328, I had 3 sensors tripped, and I've been out of town with family for a funeral. My wife was home, and I have
did somebody break into the residence?
I don't know. I've been out of town. I'm just on my way back, and I haven't been able to get a hold of the wife, so I was just hoping somebody can come meet me out there. It's probably nothing, but I would feel better.
When Scott reached his home, he made another call to the police.
I just got home, and the board that I have over my back door has been broken, so somebody has forced their way in again, and I still haven't heard back from my wife. I need an officer here now.
All right, we'll get someone out there.
I'm not going to go in or touch anything, but I'm here. I'm in the car, and I got a spotlight on the door.
Scott's wife was still inside the house and might have been in danger, but still, he chose to wait outside until the police arrived. Did he know something, or was he just too scared? When the police reached the location, they found Scott Sunford outside with his gun pointed at the house. The officers then spotted the broken back door, and they cautiously stepped into the house. They moved through the dark rooms, and when they reached the master bedroom, they turned on the light switch only to be shocked with a ghastly scene. 30-year-old Desiree Sunford was dead. She was naked and had been shot about 9 times, including a fatal gunshot wound to her head. Who could have been behind the horrific act? Was it just a robbery gone wrong, or instead a planned murder? A murder that Scott knew something about? The case was complex and without any promising suspects. The department scoured through the area and the crime scene to gather any information available. To the left side of the lifeless body were some shell casings, a total of 9. They also found a boot print right outside the back door. Moreover, the police speculated that the first few shots hadn't killed Desiree. The position of her body and the areas where she was hit displayed that she might have tried to escape the perpetrator before succumbing to the final gunshot to her head.
Desiree have any enemies that you knew of?
No, not at all.
When the police talked to her husband, Scott, he did not seem to express much sorrow, which was quite shocking for everyone. However, Desiree's mother, Connie Cast, was devastated.
My whole world just came to a sudden stop. And life as I knew it would never be the same again. She was a friend to everyone, so it boggled my mind to think of that, who could have possibly had that much aggression against her to kill her.
Furthermore, Connie had her doubts from the very beginning. And by doubts, we mean she held suspicions towards Scott. And the reason? It was simple. Scott knew that Desiree might have been in trouble, but he still waited outside instead of barging in to check on Desiree. Scott was 6 foot 5 inches tall, was a military veteran with a gun in his hand. However, he was too scared to enter his own house to check on his wife's well-being. It doesn't fit, does it? So it was time the police brought in Scott for a formal interrogation, and what they learned was shocking. In any normal interrogation, it's the detective who asks the questions. However, Scott, it seems, is just a little too prepared.
You got here literally a few minutes ago, so can you just kind of start from the beginning and tell me what happened?
Well, quite honestly, you just
your understanding
of something else. There was a shooting.
Right.
Okay. What can you tell me?
All I know is that we were called out to your house and that there was a body found.
Well, it is shocking to see how the interview has begun, but soon Scott starts providing the detective with his alibi for the murder. He claims that he was in the Tri-Cities for his aunt's funeral, and that's when he received the security alarm notifications. However, the thing that is off about this statement is that the funeral, the timing of the alarm notifications, and his call to the police were all far apart from each other. But that's not all. there's something else that will pique the detective's interest.
No, I actually stayed with a friend, but let's see.
What's the friend's name?
Oh, her name's Paige. She's a mutual friend.
But this so-called friend was actually someone much more.
Was it just a platonic friendship, or did you have a sexual relationship with Paige?
You know, I shouldn't go there because it's kind of rude, but well, Des didn't want me to say anything to anybody, but she kind of had mixed feelings, and if I'll do anything, but that's one thing I can't provide for her. So at one point, her and Paige had a little thing going for a while there, a little experiment.
Okay, so it was Desiree and Paige who had this relationship.
Yeah.
But not you and Paige, or
we all did.
Sometimes you and Paige too.
Honestly, we all did.
Okay.
But let's hear what Paige has to say about their relationship.
He came and spent the night at my place.
Scott says he slept on the couch. Is that true?
No, it's not. If he was in my house, he was in my bed.
Basically, Desiree, Scott, and this woman named Paige Blades were all in a three-way open relationship. This very thing led the investigators down a whole new path. Now they had the suspicion that maybe Scott and Paige had teamed up to eliminate Desiree. And even though this news had not reached Connie's ears, her motherly instincts were on fire.
What'd you make of Scott?
I never really warmed up to him totally.
Did you guys butt heads?
Occasionally he would say or do something that concerned, I think, about his fidelity, but there was never anything that we could prove or substantiate that he was being unfaithful.
Is Scott lying to the detectives? Had he been cheating on Desiree, and now that she was dead, was he conveniently making her a part of this scenario to make himself look less suspicious? These were the questions, but at the time, the answers were just speculation, and after Scott's interrogation, they found no such evidence to convict him. Instead, they tried to look for more concrete proof to strengthen the case. But it was all in vain, and the trail went cold for a year or so. However, in August 2014, more than a year after the murder, the police got an anonymous tip. A woman told the detectives that she knew who the killer was. It was astonishing. However, what made it even more shocking was that the tip came from none other than Paige Blades. So on August 30th, 2014, the police set up a meeting with Paige.
Okay, so obviously the big reason that I wanted to talk to you face to face was that we got the Crime Stoppers tip from you with some new information about the shooting.
Yep.
Did a little research based on the information that you sent us, and found a picture of Marty Grismer. Is that the gentleman that we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay.
Marty Grismer is Paige's close friend, but that's not all. There's a much deeper story, and Paige is about to unveil it completely.
He asked me if I wanted him to take care of this new woman like he did Des. And I asked him what he was talking about. The first time he came to see me, I was pregnant. We had just found out about 3 weeks before the shooting that I was pregnant. Marty was one of the first people that I told. And apparently, he decided that if the baby was Scott's like it was supposed to be, then Desiree would cause issues. Oh my God.
So you told Marty that Scott was the father of the baby?
Oh, Marty knew that Scott and I were together, and Scott was the only one that I was seeing. And he's smart enough to put it together.
Well, it's becoming quite obvious why Marty might have killed Desiree. But how did he enter the house, shoot her 9 times, and escape the place, leaving just a boot print behind?
Scott had given him a tour of the house a couple months before, and he knew that I had a key there. He knew that there was a key outside.
Do you know how he knew that?
Because he knew our routine. He knew it was just stuff that we talked about.
Scott and Marty knew each other through Paige. However, there was also another connection between them. Scott had a neighbor named Lori who was old and lived alone. So from time to time, Scott would pay visits to check on her, and Marty too would help her financially at times. So these two became more associated over time. As the relationship is clear now, let's unveil what happened that day.
I never told him where the key was hidden. He said it took him probably 15 minutes to find it. He got the key. He went in the front door because he knew that that was the closest to the bedroom. The alarm went off and he opened the door. And Ada came out barking. Des came out right behind her and he shot her. He shot her 3 times. She went down. He shot her some more. I don't remember how many bullets he said. It was a full clip. He let her get, 10 or 15 feet away. And he got closer to her as she was trying to crawl away. He wanted to make sure that she had an open casket funeral. He went to the back of the house and moved the board off the window that Scott had put up after the robbery. Oh, that's not awkward at all.
Is that him trying to call you?
That was Scott trying to call me. His dad's here with me.
At this time, Scott has no idea what's going on and that Marty is now the assumed killer. But let's just focus on the story for now.
So he goes to the back. I think that he said that he exited the back door, walked out, walked back in to make it look like he had come through the back door. Because it was raining that night. And he wanted to leave shoe prints. He put the key back in its hiding spot. He went back inside again, grabbed a jewelry box off of her dresser, and he left.
Did he describe the jewelry box?
I think he said it was the little one.
But Marty has a different statement regarding all of this.
I haven't done anything wrong on her, and but she's trying to engineer, set me up to do something. I was saying to you that killed someone. How did that?
However, it's becoming more clear by now how the incident had happened. Paige explains it as clearly as possible, and shocking as it is, she claims to know all this because according to her, Marty himself told her about all this. It's like he wanted her to know what he did. But when this accusation finally reaches Marty, he starts denying everything. Paige said that he wanted to kill Desiree so that she wouldn't create issues with Paige's pregnancy. But why take it to such an extreme?
Conversation with him? Do you think he would talk to you about it more?
I'm sure he would. He worships the ground I walk on. He's obsessed with me.
Is that something that you would consider?
That's all I could think about the last 2 days.
Such obsession lies in the psychopathic borderline. Moreover, given Paige's confidence in her accusations, there must be other instances proving Marty has always behaved this way, right?
And had Marty made any comments that would make you think that he was going to do something like that?
No, I know that he always talked about it. He always told me that if I ever had a problem, he would take care of it. And I always told him it was.
Had he offered to kill her before?
He's offered to kill her. He's offered to kill Dylan, Scott. It doesn't. If I have a bad day with a coworker, he always tells me there's always Plan B. And
so he's
Plan B.
just up for killing anybody?
Pretty much. Yeah.
So it's kind of well established from Paige's statements that Marty seems to be someone whom one might call crazy. But Marty has some contrasting statements.
I thought Paige had done it. That's all I thought. Well, I thought that Scott had done it, but I don't know.
I'm not interested in your speculation. I'm interested in what Paige told you. Paige told you more than you're saying. And I can see that written all over your face. You just won't come out with it. And now I gotta believe it's because we've already established that you're more concerned about your son than Paige. Paige is basically trying to bend you over this table. And so the concern for her is out the window. So you must be trying to protect yourself. That's all I can figure.
I didn't have anything. I didn't go kill anyone. I didn't go shoot anyone.
Going back to Paige, she has all sorts of information against Marty. She tells the police that his phone was kept off during the murder, and it went back on when he reached his home. She even explains in detail about Marty's guns and where he would practice shooting.
Did he mention specifically target practicing with the gun that he used? Did he talk about practicing first, or?
No.
What was it?
All he said was that all of that ammo, except for the one single clip, had been spent about 2 years before.
Oh, okay. So he didn't necessarily say he shot it there. He just said he shot up a whole bunch of ammo and had one.
He uses the backyard. That's where all of his ammo is expended. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he said was they can try and dig down to find the ammo if they want, but I don't see him wasting time.
It seems like Marty was too arrogant, and he never thought that Paige would rat him out. But there's another concern. What if Paige is lying? And what if Marty is the one telling the truth?
I was going to try and talk to him more on Friday in court.
Is there any chance that when we pick him up, is there any chance that he's going to say that, yeah, I did this for Paige and she knew about it, she told me to do it?
I think that's always a chance, but I couldn't see him trying to do that. He's always been a very honest person, as far as I know.
And if he did say that, it'd be a total lie. You didn't.
Wow. Yeah.
The question's got to be asked.
Yeah.
Because it will be asked, as we go forward.
The detectives then ask her if she's ready to wear a wire and get a confession from Marty, which she accepts, but it doesn't go the way they plan it.
You said that there was no evidence, so I'm just wondering for sure if there's nothing left.
Daughter though. I don't have it. You haven't done anything.
However, the key statement in Paige's interrogation is that Marty seemed kind of psychotic and he would kill anyone who came in Paige's way. He was insanely obsessed, but we might just have the reason for it.
When you met Scott, did you know he was married to Desiree?
I knew that he was married, but I had been told that he was separated.
At what point did you and Scott start to get intimate?
Actually, it was the day that I found out that he was still actively married.
And you're, the mistress?
I didn't see myself being a mistress long term. I also wasn't entirely sure that I wanted to date him, but sex was cool.
Paige was in her own world, and Marty was there to see it all. But Marty, who couldn't have Paige only for himself, was ready to go to any lengths for her. He even wanted to get rid of Scott, and the reason was this.
And that's what we've been fighting.
And Scott was what now?
Scott was lying about a lot of stuff.
For instance?
The status of the house. Insurance, death certificates.
What was he saying?
We had been trying to figure out if we were going to keep the house, rent it out, sell it off, let the bank take it. I had just found a company to come in and clean up the crime scene. It's still sitting. It hasn't been touched. Said that there was insurance and he couldn't get it without the death certificate. Couldn't get the death certificate until his name had been cleared legally. He was having trouble finding work. He figured because of the background check, because of his involvement with the case, he was just frustrated with everything.
So you're sharing that with Marty?
I think a few times I've mentioned it throughout the year, because Marty was always very condescending about Scott, about how he needed to, man up and go get a job, and he needed to go.
So why?
His responsibilities.
What was the conversation that really probably drew Marty's comments out, saying, "I can take care of this next one"? I mean,
I barely told Marty that night that Scott was living with somebody else.
That's the first time he heard about it?
And I told him that I thought that we were going to be breaking up and that I was tired of the situation. He asked me if I wanted to take her.
Did you relay to him your feelings to Scott yet? What were your feelings towards Scott?
He's betrayed my trust. And he knows it. We talked a lot last week.
So why, instead of taking care of this next gal, why not take care of Scott?
He's offered that too. I've always told him no. I've always told him no about everybody.
Did he... he offers, okay, I'll take care of this other gal and you can have your life with Scott? Is that anything like that, or what?
I think that's what he's trying for.
Even though you were done with Scott, because Scott sleeps around.
And it's not because he sleeps around. That's not the problem. The problem is that he's a liar.
The problem is what?
That he's a liar.
Both Paige and Marty's statements appear very contradictory, but the police needed a clear idea of the crime. Even though Marty's now the prime suspect in the case, the detectives still cannot just let their suspicions towards Scott and Paige go.
Could Scott have worked any kind of a deal with Marty to take care of Desiree?
I really don't think so.
Did they know each other very well before this?
No, they had only known each other for probably 4 months.
Before this? Before the...
But Marty keeps denying all these statements. He seems insistent on playing innocent throughout. However, the confusion in the air was cleared up when the detectives found a great deal of evidence that pointed towards Marty.
He had a gun barrel in his drawer at work. That gun barrel was found after forensics examination to have been used in the homicide.
Moreover, the boot print that the police found at the crime scene matched the size and brand of shoes that Marty used to wear.
Detectives were very confident that they had the right guy.
With all this direct evidence, the police charged Marty with murder. On January 8th, 2018, Marty faced the law. He continued denying everything, but finally he was cornered with the sheer amount of evidence against him. He finally entered an Alford plea where he denied being involved in the murder but accepted that there was enough evidence to convict him. Marty was then sentenced to 15 years in prison. The case should have been over, right? However, it was just after this sentencing that the police uncovered some new details which brought back the air of confusion.
Scott's mistress was pregnant with some other guy's child.
But said that it was Scott's.
Said it was Scott's.
This came in as a shock for everyone. Why had Paige lied about the identity of the child?
I can believe that he did the deed by himself, but how did he know that Desiree was going to be alone that night?
It's a good question.
Scott and his mistress gave Marty the information that she was going to be alone.
Moreover, some text messages between Paige and Desiree were uncovered in which Desiree expressed her discomfort to Paige. Let's show you how Paige reacted when she was confronted in an interview with Crime Watch Daily.
Your guys' comfort level with each other is much higher than I'm okay with.
This is you writing to her. I'm sure I could have sex with him. I just don't think about it because he's married. So cut the crap with me now. You are not in an open relationship with Scott and Desiree.
Well, it does seem like Desiree wasn't completely okay with the open three-way relationship. It can't be said for sure, but we feel like there have been a lot of things which were left unexplored. The police did try to bring Scott and Paige into the case, but unfortunately, there was no evidence to support their theories regarding them. The murderer might have been convicted, but many questions still lingered. It seemed like everything in the case was just speculation and blind trust. There is no telling who was speaking the truth and who lied. And sadly, it still doesn't look possible to uncover these details.
If you weren't sleeping with Desiree's husband, would she still be alive today?
I don't know.
Has she really been honest? Let's watch another clip.
While we're on the subject of your honesty, you said Marty was obsessed with you, but you never had any type of sexual relationship with Marty.
Right.
What about the new photo exchanges between you two?
Yeah, there were definitely photo exchanges.
Between you two?
Yes.
Did you wonder why Marty may have been obsessed if you're sending him photos?
But that's not having sex.
That's a relationship if you're sending you photos. You know, here's my private parts, but it's not sexual.
Yeah, but I send them to a lot of people.
Here's a shot.
Most of the photos that Marty got, Scott also got. So did Scott's dad.
You were close with Scott Sr. as well?
Yeah.
Did you and Scott Sr. fool around?
Yeah. Yeah, we fooled around. But we never had sex.
Well, we might all just understand what was actually going on. As sad as it is, we don't feel that Desiree ever got the full justice she deserved. Now, what do you think? Was Grismer the only one involved in the murder, or was it actually Scott and Paige's idea? Feel free to let us know your opinion. We'd love to hear from you. If there's a case you'd like us to cover, don't hesitate to drop your recommendations in the comment section below. Do subscribe to our channel to unravel cases like this from around the world. Until next time, stay safe.